Hey everybody, I am Danny Otto. Welcome into that recap show. Now, before we get into the show, just wanted to issue Tesseract level spoiler alerts. That's right. Tesseract is back in play if you know anything about this. Anyway, Tesseract level spoiler alert. We are going to be talking about everything that happened in the first episode of the new What If series. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, go check out that episode, and then come back and join us for all of the recap. With that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
On this episode, we're going to be covering everything from episode 1 of the new What If series. And to help me break down everything we saw in the episode, it's the one, the only, it's Dylan!
Oh my god, Danny, what's up?
Do you like that intro? The one and only Dylan.
I know, I am the only Dylan. That's why it's just Dylan in the bottom, my name right there. It's like nothing else.
I'll grant you the ability to have auto. We are related. It's fine. You can have auto if you ever want it. But
Appreciate
we
it.
have so much to discuss with the What If series, and it's just going to get crazier from here. So why don't we get into it with just like initial reactions, basically. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go first just because I had a couple, like, just, here and there, like, weird reactions. I really enjoyed this, but in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking of it as like a Disney cartoon, but made for adults, because it looked very reminiscent of a Disney cartoon, but like there's drinking in it. And I'm like, ooh, it's the morning, but like it kind of looks like they're enjoying drinks. And then like the fighting scenes when Peggy Carter becomes Captain Carter, and she's like bashing people's heads and blowing people up, and she's going, haha, this is fun. Like she's like laughing about it. I'm like, holy shit. She's like kicking the shit out of people and laughing about it. So that's all I could really think about was how it was like worlds collide, Disney and adult stuff. It made me think a lot about Archer, basically the cartoon from FX that I love. Like Archer will always have a special place in my heart, but it always made me think of that. There's tons of violence, there's tons of drinking, and it's just
Woodhouse, I quit drinking for her. Just that one. I'm scared if I stop all at once, the cumulative hangover will literally kill me.
it married the two. It was a cartoon series and like an adult show, basically. So that's what my initial reactions were. What about you? What did you think about it?
Yeah. So a lot of similar thoughts. I think I definitely liked the cartoony style, as you talked about. It was, I think, a lot of like superhero type stories do really well with cartoons and things like that. Like obviously we've had a lot of cool animated shows with like Batman or Superman before. And I always really liked how that kind of style looked. And I think it flowed well. Like, I think there were scenes like, for example, there's one where Captain Carter like flips through the air. And I felt like it wouldn't have looked as good if it hadn't been in like a live action, like we usually see with the MCU. And I liked sort of all the mirroring things throughout, like, it's clearly building up from the original story of Captain America, and like kind of seeing everything in a new light was pretty cool. If I had to give one critique, I think it would be it just went a little fast. Like there was a lot of like jumpiness to it. I feel like we just kind of like went through things pretty quickly, but I think the good parts definitely outweighed the bad, and it definitely I liked it more than I thought it would.
I do agree, and it's not even like it's even a critique. It's almost more in the sense of how kind of good it was, because I would have sat through it longer if they had kind of made it more of like an hour long. Like I would have been like, I kind of want to see that part, or I kind of want to see how how that part would have played out, type of thing. So it almost goes more to the credit of how good I guess it is, or how refreshing of a series it could potentially be. But do you want to get to some big takeaways? All right, so the first big takeaway that I have basically isn't really even a big takeaway. It's less a critique, just more of I wanted something, and it goes back to exactly what you were saying. In the train scene, we even had a joke where Bucky was like, hey, you almost took my arm off. And then Steve and the train blow up and fall off the cliff, and they have to leave potentially a dead Steve. So in my head, I'm like, Steve's gonna become the Winter Soldier. Like, alarm bells are ringing. Like, I'm assuming this is gonna happen, and I'm like going, oh, they're gonna go to the castle and they're gonna find the tesseract, and then Steve's gonna be like the Winter Soldier, and they're gonna have to fight, and Peggy's gonna have somehow jog his memory, and then it's gonna be like, oh, this is how Steve became the Winter Soldier. Like, I was dead set on this happening, and it didn't. They just have Steve chained up. They have the Hydra Stomper chained up also, and the Tesseract is in a different room. I was a little let down just because of the potential that could have brought, basically, just to see how Steve would have reacted trying to be the Winter Soldier and gripping with the, oh, well, this is, my mind has been wiped and blah, blah, blah. And so that's all I really had. So what was your first big takeaway?
Yeah, so first of all, definitely agree. I kind of wish they did delve into that, and I'm surprised it didn't go that direction. But for me, though, my takeaway, or one of the takeaways I had, was the monster that Captain Britain or Captain Carter fights when the Tesseract appears, and sort of like kind of unexplained. You don't really see exactly what it is. It's just sort of like tentacles come out of the portal and then just kind of messes everything up. I also thought it was interesting that Red Skull dies. So that kind of made me thinking about like, oh, like, well, then who's going to be protecting the Soul Stone, as a sort of separate thought. But I was looking up online, and there's theories that Shuma Gorath, which is apparently one of the villains from the comics, might be an overarching villain in future series that they're kind of hinting at.
Yep.
In potentially like the next Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse Madness. So we'll see. We'll kind of see where that goes. But I'm curious to see how that turns out, or if it turned out to be nothing at all.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I hope that was like a seed planted, because what I really want to see is a bridge from this series to the main live action MCU. And that's what we're hoping for this entire time, because it was already told to us that everything from the What If series is canon anyway. So why tell us it's canon if we're not going to try to bridge these two, like this series with the main MCU, which is all of the other Disney Plus series have so far. So very cool. So the last big takeaway we're really going to talk about is, and I just labeled this "Watcher be watching," and basically, I mean, we kind of already had this idea from the trailer that basically the Watcher is the audience, just like us. He just comes right out and says it. Basically, I watch, but I don't interfere. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think as he sees things get more and more shitty, I guess, best term, I think he's gonna grow more and more to, maybe I should interfere a little bit, and maybe I should do something about it. I'm really hoping we do get some sort of dialogue from him in why, like, you know, why we're tuning into this. Kind of almost like where the episode of WandaVision where it finally panned out from the bubble, from the hex, and we saw that, like, no, she just created a TV series, basically, and people outside the hex are watching it. So I'm kind of like hoping that we get more of like one of those pullback episodes almost, and we see like why he's watching right now in particular, or what this is bringing towards, what this is building towards, basically. But you want to go to predictions? We kind of had similar predictions, but I wanted you to go first.
Yeah, definitely. So I think for sure, because, you know, even in a show like What If, where it's sort of like literally the name of the show is kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to expect. There's some sort of overarching plot, I think, that will come together throughout the series. And I think that overarching plot will be a What If Avengers team with, of course, like Captain Carter, Captain Britain, whatever other versions of the MCU characters. I know like T'Challa will be Star-Lord as part of that. So I'm kind of curious to see how it all plays into, but I have a feeling that especially with that ending scene where Captain Carter comes through the Tesseract and talks to Nick Fury and is like, where am I? Doesn't know where, you know, kind of similar to how it was in the first Avengers movie. I think that'll kind of all play into a new team.
I absolutely agree. In fact, I mean, we've already have like hints that it's going to be called Guardians of the Multiverse. And that's why I kind of, to kind of, you know, piggyback on yours, basically, I think the reason that we're getting the ends of each one of these episodes, I think they're going to show us who those original 6 are going to be paralleled by. So we already know that Captain America is now Captain Carter, and we know that Star-Lord is going to be T'Challa, and that's going to be one of the 6 in kind of the Battle of New York circle that we had of the original 6 Avengers. I do believe we're going to get a party Thor, so I think we're probably still going to have a Thor. I know we're going to have a version of Gamora, and I know we're going to have a version of Doctor Strange. So I do think like they're building to that. So like we now have Peggy Carter in the same place that Steve Rogers was before the team up for the Avengers. So I do think like after every episode, it's going to kind of lead to that, like lead the characters together almost. I think that it's going to be the Watcher who's kind of pulling these kind of strings to help these characters to kind of corral them. I don't think he's going to directly like go, yoink, you're coming with me and just drop them there. But I think that he's going to kind of get them all in the right place at the right time. Now, what I'm really hoping for, though, I'm still hoping at least, that our main live action MCU Doctor Strange is also going to be brought into this series as a prelude for Multiverse of Madness. And what I really am kind of, what I mean by that, I guess, is that I'm hoping the Watcher grabs Doctor Strange from our live action MCU and says, like, I want you to sit here and watch this with me. And I want you to see how bad this can be left unchecked. Basically, there's going to be something big that you're going to have to, band your normal team together, or maybe some of these people too, together across the multiverse to stop this threat, or it's just going to be utter chaos. And one thing when I was kind of like just kind of sitting around thinking about that, I don't know if you remember the episode of Futurama where Banner is floating in space. And he floats for forever. He actually like somehow creates life on his stomach and on his back, and then they have wars and everyone dies. And then he floats for so long that apparently he meets God in space, and he has a conversation and he goes,
I was God once.
Yes, I saw. You were doing well until everyone died.
It was awful.
I'm kind of hoping that like if we get our main MCU Doctor Strange and the Watcher together, that there was like a similar conversation, like, yeah, I looked through all the different realities and tried to figure out one so that we could beat Thanos. And he was like, yeah, you were doing really great until he actually snapped away everyone and everyone died. Like, I really would love to see like something parallel to that, but like something like that would just be like the perfect like comedy like between the two of them, but also like makes sense because it's like, yeah, you did that on a almost earthbound level, I do that on a cosmic level, like type of thing, and just be like, just see how like the gravity of how big the difference is between the two of them. But I just think that would be hilarious. And also, like I said, I would really like to have that Doctor Strange character in so he gets all of this knowledge before Multiverse of Madness. That would show us that the What If is really carrying over into Multiverse of Madness. But anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments, what did you think of the first episode? What can you not wait for the rest of this season? I can't wait to see what we're going to see. Look, I'm still looking forward to Marvel Zombies. That's going to be my absolute favorite episode. I'm already calling it right now. Zombie Captain America versus Bucky as the Winter Soldier, and Zombie Tony Stark as Iron Man. I can't wait. Anyway, let us know in the comments, what did you think? What can you not wait for? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video updates. Bye, everybody.
See ya.